Imagine a world where the ground is just a memory and humanity survives in floating cities above the clouds. It sounds like a dream, right? But even 100 years in the future, the struggle to make it is still real. Welcome back. Today, we're diving into a sci-fi tale called The Neon Current. It's more than just a cool setting, it's a life-changing story about what happens when you give away the last thing you have. If you're trying to navigate your own path and grow in life, pay close attention to Jax, our main character. This isn't just an adventure, it's a success story that redefines what it means to be rich. Stick around for the next 10 minutes because the life lessons hidden in these clouds might just change how you see your own world. Let's drift. In the year 2145, the surface of the Earth was a memory covered in thick, swirling fog. Humanity now lived in the sky lofts, massive floating cities suspended by magnetic tethers high above the clouds. Jax was a drifter. He didn't live in the shiny glass penthouses of the upper district. He lived on a rust-colored, retrofitted hover skiff named the Rusty Sparrow. It wasn't much, just an engine, a small cabin, and a cargo deck, but it was home. Jax's job was dangerous. Every morning, while the city slept under the glow of holographic billboards, Jax would pilot his skiff down into the Undercast, the thick gray cloud layer below the city. He was an energy harvester. He deployed magnetic nets to catch static charge particles, which he sold to the power grid for credits. It was lonely work, but Jax wasn't entirely alone. The Undercast was home to the Titan silk moths. They were giants of the mist, creatures the size of small planes. Their bodies were covered in thick snow-white fur that rippled like tall grass in the wind. They had 4 massive wings that shimmered with iridescent colors, like oil spilled on water, shifting from violet to gold as they fluttered. Unlike the birds of the old world, the Titan silk moths were blind. The dense fog made eyes useless. Instead, they navigated using 2 massive, feathery antennae on their heads that glowed with a soft, warm amber light. They fed on static electricity, sensing the hum of the clouds. Most drifters ignored the moths, or worse, chased them away because they interfered with the harvester's nets. But not Jax. One Tuesday, Jax had a massive haul. His batteries were glowing green, fully charged with static energy. He calculated the profits. It was enough to upgrade his thrusters and buy real food, not just nutrient paste. As he was reeling in his nets, he felt a soft vibration. 2 Titan silk moths fluttered alongside his ship. Their usually vibrant wings looked dull. Their blowing antennae were dim, flickering like dying candles. The city's pollution had been pushing the natural static charges lower and lower, making it hard for them to feed. Jax looked at his full batteries. He looked at the starving creatures. "Rough week for you guys too, huh?" Jax muttered, running a hand through his messy hair. He didn't think twice. He walked over to his generator, unhooked 2 fully charged energy cells, about half his day's pay, and tossed them overboard. The cells cracked open in the air, releasing a burst of pure static electricity. The moths sensed the surge immediately. They dove gracefully, their feathery antennae twitching as they bathed in the energy. As they fed, their white fur stood on end and their wings flared with blindingly beautiful rainbow colors. They let out a soft, chirping thrum that vibrated in Jax's chest like a warm bass drop. Yeah, don't mention it," Jax smiled, leaning against the railing. "Catch you on the flip side." Later, the weather algorithms failed. Usually, the city's AI predicted storms days in advance, but the climate had been glitching lately. Jax was deep in the Undercast, miles away from the safety of the floating docks, when the sky turned a bruised purple. The wind didn't just blow, it screamed. It was an ion storm, a hurricane made of lightning and pressure. "Come on, old girl, hold together," Jax yelled over the roar of the wind, gripping the control stick of the rusty sparrow with white-knuckled hands. The little skiff was tossed around like a toy. Hailstones the size of baseballs hammered against the hull. Alarms blared in the cockpit. Warning, stabilizers failing, engine critical. A massive wave of turbulence hit the ship sideways. The Sparrow tilted almost 90 degrees. Jax wasn't strapped in. He had been trying to manually reset the circuit breaker. The floor dropped out from under him. Jax slid across the wet metal deck. He scrambled for a handhold, his fingers scraping against the rust, but the momentum was too strong. With a terrified shout, Jax was thrown over the railing. He fell into the abyss. The wind tore at his clothes. The fall was terrifyingly fast. Above him, the lights of his ship disappeared into the dark clouds. Below him, there was nothing but miles of empty sky, and eventually the toxic surface of the old world. Jax tried to activate his emergency gravity vest, but it was dead, shorted out by the storm. "This is it," he thought, squeezing his eyes shut as the cold air rushed past him. "This is how I zero out." The darkness swallowed him whole. Then, something slammed into him. It wasn't the hard impact of the ground. It was soft, like falling into a massive pile of cotton. Jax gasped, buried deep in something warm and thick. He wasn't falling anymore. He cracked one eye open. He was buried in white fur. He pressed his hands down, and the fur felt like the softest silk, radiating a gentle heat. He looked up. Above him, two massive, iridescent wings were beating rhythmically, cutting through the storm. He was on the back of a Titan silk moth. The creature banked through the wind with impossible grace. Alongside them, a second moth flew close, using its massive wing to shield Jax from the freezing hail. They couldn't see him. They had tracked his bioelectric signature. In the chaos of the storm, amidst all the lightning and thunder, their glowing golden antennae had found the one tiny spark of energy that had once fed them. Jax buried his face in the creature's thick fur, gripping it tightly. The moth chirped softly, a sound of comfort. For the first time since the storm started, Jax stopped shaking. He felt a connection that didn't need words. They climbed, up, through the violent purple clouds, breaking through the turbulence into the calm, starry night above. "Jax! Jax!" The voice sounded distorted, like it was coming through water. Jax coughed, water expelling from his lungs. He blinked, his vision blurry. He was lying on the metal grating of the docking bay 7. The rain had stopped, or maybe he was just under the shelter. Kira, the dock mechanic, was kneeling over him, her face pale with panic. She was shaking his shoulders. I'm good," Jax wheezed, sitting up slowly. His head was spinning. He looked around. The rusty Sparrow was docked nearby, looking battered and smoking, but safe. "How are you alive?" Kira asked, her voice trembling. "I saw your transponder signal drop off the map. You fell, Jax. You fell into the Undercast during a Class 5 ion storm. Nobody survives that." Jax rubbed the back of his neck. He felt sore, but no bones were broken. He looked past Kira, towards the edge of the floating platform where the clouds swirled silently. Faintly, deep in the fog, he saw two soft golden lights fading away into the deep. "I honestly don't know," Jax lied softly, a small smile playing on his lips. "Maybe I just got lucky, or maybe the wind just blew me back." Kira looked at him skeptically. "The wind blew you up into your ship and piloted it back here?" "The universe is weird like that, Kira," Jax said, standing up on shaky legs. He walked over to the edge of the dock. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, high-grade energy fuse he had been saving for an emergency. He tossed it over the edge, watching it tumble down into the mist. "What are you doing?" Kira asked. "That's 50 credits." "Just paying a debt," Jax whispered. He realized then that the city, with all its technology and credits and noise, understood less about the world than the blind creatures in the clouds. He had given them power when they were empty. They had given him life when he was falling. It wasn't magic, it was just the current, and the current always flows back to where it started. The current always flows back. That's the thing about energy. Whether it's electricity in a battery or kindness to a stranger, it never really disappears. Jax thought he was losing money, but he was actually saving his own life. I hope this moral story resonated with you. In a world that tells us to only look out for number one, sometimes the real success story is about who you lift up along the way. If you enjoyed the Neon Current and you're looking for more narratives that help you grow in life, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more life lessons wrapped in stories waiting for you. Until next time, keep your spark alive and trust the current.